Beyblades. I have a lot of them, and I mean a lot. So, real quick today, we're going to be going over the second half of the Beyblades in my house, and a couple stadiums. And, we're going to compare them to my brother's, and you can put a comment down below whose is better, and go watch the first part if you haven't seen it. Thanks. Alright, welcome to part 2 of whatever this is, because I don't know what it is. We're just comparing Beyblades, pretty much. And if you haven't seen part 1, don't go back and watch it, because it probably sucks, but you can if you want to. Then again, you're watching this, and this probably sucks. So, these are all my Beyblades. I don't have a bunch of extra parts, like my little brother does, but, yeah, we'll go through Metal Fusion first, and then I also have a couple Bay Wheels, which we don't really need to look at, but we might as well. And then I'll go through Burst, because I don't have one from every series like he does, but I definitely have more from most of the series. So let's jump right into that, and yeah. Alright, these are my Metal Fusion bays. I have probably my best one over here, Bakushin Susanoo, which I hear is a rare bay, and this one is from Random Booster Volume 21, I believe, in the Metal Fight series. And then over here we have this hunk of a thing, which is what these are for. I'll go into more detail with that later. And I have all these wrenches over here. There's not much to say about Metal Fight, Metal Fusion, I don't know what you want to call it. But I did talk about this earlier. This is the thing that I was comparing to Salamander, which I thought was really cool. It's like Capricorn's bottom, or it is Capricorn's bottom. Wrong one of these, though, normally has Quake. And then it's called Ray Serpent, that right there. Some of these have the wrong face bolts, which this, and this have the wrong face bolts. That's Infinite Placenta, which I actually found out off of Reddit. That's Inferno Nasher. Those are both called Grand Cetus. That's Rock Scorpion. That's Cyclone Herculo. That's Flash Orsa. That's Spiral Fox. That's Dark Bull. That's Bakushin Susanoo and Ray Serpent. I know a lot less about these bays than I do about my Burst bays, because I know all of the names of these and some of their parts, mostly because the names directly correlate to their parts, but I don't know a lot of this stuff, whereas I know pretty much everything from Burst. With that out of the way, we can move on and look at the single layers. This is the only one. It's Kerbeus Wing Fusion. It's pretty simple. Honestly, it's just a average defense type, even though it has some fairly good stamina type parts, and it has quite a bit of attack power. It often bursts itself anyways, so it's not great in any category. I'm not even going to cut this, because we can just start tearing through all of the dual layers. Alright, these are my dual layers. I don't need a ton to complete my entire collection. That's only if we're counting layers, though. Like, for example, I don't have stock combos Horizon or Valtryek, because I don't have Knuckle or Boost, but I have the bottoms, but they're on separate combos. So if I just switch these two, technically, it would be, like, they'd be pretty similar. If we aren't counting them by just their layer, though, I'm missing a lot. Like, if we're counting full color combos or even just full bays, like stock bays, I'm missing quite a few. This is my favorite one, probably, is Xeno Excalius. No surprise, it's a beautiful bay. Probably my most powerful, I'd say, maybe this Spryzen, this Valtryek, or a Nubian over here. Not much to say about them. They're just dual layers. Doomsizer was pretty good for its time, and Nepstrius is definitely one of my favorites from the show because I had the original Nepstrius, like I said in the last video. And this one is Takara Tomy, so that's neat. I don't have an original Kerbeus, though, like a Hasbro one, I mean, which kind of sucks. Not a hard decision, but these are probably my 3 favorites of the dual layers, honestly. Like this one, Xeno Excalius, Magnum Extreme, Victory Valtryek, Limited Unite, Storm Spryzen, Limited Variable. These two are really cool because they're the main characters, but I used to have the original ones and I don't anymore. There's a lot of other ones which are really nice, but I just don't like the combos. Like these ones. This one is Ifritor Infinity Zephyr, I believe. I actually have a lot more dual layers, but they're just all X-Bays, right? Like Ice X or Blizzard X Gaianon and Tornado X Yagdrion. So we'll look at those with the turbo stuff. Real quick, we're gonna take these two guys and we're gonna put them aside because I want to talk about Turbo a little bit later, and they were released during Turbo, and you'll see a huge difference in quality right there. But in terms of God layers, we have this guy, Beat Kukulkan, Boom Kalzar, whatever you want to call it. I really don't like the name differences between Hasbro and Takara Tomy, but, you know, I guess you get over it. We have Siege Scalius, Arc Bahamut, Blast Genius, Killer Doomsizer, Drain Fafnir, Twin Noctimus, Nightmare, Luminor, and Genesis/God Valtryek. Honestly, this is probably the best series in terms of just quality. Like, little things like this, where his beard pops out, is really, just so much better, okay? And like the metal on this guy they would never do that now. Like, even Excalius nowadays, I'm pretty sure, don't have metal. Actually, the newest one is, in Hasbro, will suck. In Takara Tomy is so good, right? And this right here, like the fact that it's just one thing and it has metal, or just a rubber on this guy, that's such a quality of life thing, and just not quality of life. That's a totally different term, but that's such a nice thing, and the fact that this moves and that everything just works. And you want to be like, oh, the whole gimmick of Evolution was that everything had a different gimmick, or that everything did a different thing, or everything had a special ability. Yeah, well, the gimmick of Turbo was that they all had metal, and not a single Bay had metal in that. Not even Luminor, which its whole thing was having metal. Like, everything here, even this little movement, Hasbro wouldn't do now. And, like, it's really sad looking back on these Bays. But I also appreciate them so much more, which is why this is probably my favorite series in Hasbro, and a lot of people's favorite series in general. Alright, right here we got Turbo. We have a couple dual layers over here, like all of these ones, which were actually part of Turbo, but, you know, they don't really count. I'm just not going to include them. Maybe I'll go over them later. Actually, real quick, Blizzard X Gaianon, Poison X Hyris, Lightning X Ice Rose, Tornado X Yagdrion, and Gold X Betromoth. If you want to know the names, just right there. The reason these are separated is because, as you can see, all of these guys' layers have gimmicks. And I can kind of excuse it for, like, Fornius, Valtryek, and Achilles. None of these other guys have an excuse. Because even for these three, their whole thing was having metal, and they don't have it anymore. Like, that's the whole point of the Turbo series. And Rocktavor, his wings came out, at least. That doesn't happen anymore. These guys could have had metal. This guy's whole thing was having metal. Like, and they didn't even give it to him. And, like, oh my god. It sucks, because you see how good Beyblades can be with stuff like Phoenix. And even then, this isn't friction. This isn't what he had in the thing, and he doesn't have the frame. This guy is probably the coolest one, and they still messed it up with the bottom, because it's supposed to be a defense-type bottom, but in order to make it viable for Slingshot, they had to ruin it, and now it isn't. It's an attack-type, even though it's a needle. They made needle attack-type. Like, My favorite from this series, not gonna lie, these three. I know everyone hates Wonder Valtryek, but that's one of the reasons I like it so much. Maybe Amaterios instead, but Amaterios is kind of worse. Maybe Hades. I don't know. One of these guys with high attack power. But I like Wonder Valtryek because it's so underutilized because nobody uses it right. Like, it has a lot of potential, but often people just don't know how to use it. It is kind of light, though. Like, it could be a lot heavier, and it would be good, like Turbo Valtryek. So I know it's not worth putting in the effort to complain about these little things, and about Beyblades of all things, but I'm going to. See this? See this little bounce? It's not much, but it's just this little rebound right here, and on the bottom, too, it has that right there, where this comes out. This doesn't move. It's just one plastic piece. This came out not even a generation later, during the next generation even, and they got rid of the gimmick completely. And the bottom, all it does is it does this. It switches between can't use it and slightly viable. They ruined this Beyblade, because they could have just gave it Revolve, or even just kept the gimmick and gave it Slingshock, and it would have been so good. Just like Takara Tomy. And, like, compare it to this guy, you might say, like, oh, it's just because the whole thing with God Layer was gimmicks. No, it isn't, because that's a God Layer Beyblade, and it doesn't have it one generation later. It's clearly a decline with Hasbro. Or maybe it's the gimmicks are simpler, like this. They just put a lot of metal on this Beyblade. And then this one, they put the balls inside the Beyblade. That's so much more complicated. But this one just gets less complicated, and they still took it out. I don't understand why Hasbro did any of this, because they're worth so little now, and a lot of people just stopped buying Beyblades. Then again, it's probably just minor reasons. This is Rise. Rise sucks. I'm not even going to say it anymore. Hasbro sucks. These two came from limited edition packs, which were the only way you could get them even slightly accurate to what they looked like in Takara Tomy, where they're good. This guy came with the launcher, but I never got the launcher because I got him from someone else. And that one, I don't know where this guy came from. I just have him. This guy has a cool medal. That's the only good thing I can say about any of these Beyblades. They're so gimmicky, and this one comes apart, but all of them come apart. So this guy just comes apart more. Like, they did nothing with this series. They ruined it, and it only goes down. I know this wasn't meant to be like a complaining thing, but I kind of just end up complaining whenever I talk about my Evolution bays and my Turbo bays, so like, I don't even want to talk about Rise, so we'll get that out of the way. This I'll do quick. Lindworm and Berserk Lindworm, and I don't know this guy's name. Something Fatfinger. This guy's currently in Apex mode. This guy is currently in Core mode, if you want to see like somewhat what the difference is. That's not because of the metal. That's because of their mode is why that guy's so much taller. And lastly, we have Bay Wheels. Not much to say about these. They're Bay Wheels. Anyways, that's my collection. I also have this for Artemis. I don't have it from Apollo because I got it from, someone that I know. I did a trade for it. That's the Battle Dome. That you put this on a Beyblade and then launch it in there, and it kind of like, that's not what it's supposed to do, but it's sort of just rips around the stadium. If you've ever seen it before, you'll know. This is the stadium that made all of the bottoms of my Beyblades orange, because it might be a Metal Fusion stadium, but it is way better than all the best ones. These are all my launchers. A lot of Metal Fusion ones. A couple from like Takara Tomy and stuff, but nothing really groundbreaking. These right here, just pretty basic, and, you know, the normal. That's my entire collection. You can tell me if it's better than my brother's, but tune in tomorrow if you want to see me demonstrate what some of these bays can do, and a couple videos I'm planning on doing if you want to subscribe and maybe not turn on notifications, because I don't know if they'll be that good, but demonstrating what the Battle Dome can do, I'm showing off my bay wheels, and I'm demonstrating a little bit of what these bays can do. Also, if you're interested in Lego sets, maybe like this video, and I'll show off some of the Lego I have. Thanks for watching!